Good afternoon, everybody. It is 1 o'clock exactly on this beautiful Friday afternoon, the 7th of September. How's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing well. And making sure that sounds okay. It does. All right. We've had some crazy, wicked action and moves in currencies all over the place. The president announced a possible another round of tariffs on China, so that's getting a lot of activity in our regular currencies. But looking at cryptos, we've clearly formed a base of some sort here. If we look at yesterday's trade, we traded up a lot. We traded up higher, kind of closed in the middle of the entire range, and now we're trading with an inside bar. And looking at the future here, looking at the mirrored foldback pattern, if we're going to use this as the kind of a roadmap for what we see happening coming up, certainly looking for the next few days to, well, actually maybe the next week or so, to see some type of consolidative range, a little higher possibly, but then trading up there before we have that next blowout to the top side, which is this thin range right here would be the indication that we are moving farther up. All right, so that's a nice thing to take a peek at and look forward to. We are off the lows from yesterday. We did trade a little bit above 6,500, only to come back down to it. There's a lot of range trading going on here. We can just see that this is a pretty typical looking bottom that we've formed with a range trading in between 6,200 and 6,500. I mean, it's a pretty flat bottoming area. Now, there's some great news that came out. The last SEC commissioner that Trump appointed is he was confirmed by the Senate, and he is a pro crypto guy. And so there are four. I believe there's 4 out of the 5 SEC commissioners are Trump appointees, or it's 3 or 5. I know the chairman is. You know what? Let's just look real quick. 5 commissioners. Let's see. We've got Jim Clayton as the chairman. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yes, I want to make sure that this is right. Robert Jackson was he was on the 11th of January. Yeah, so the new commissioner. Make sure I got this. Yep, Elad Roisman. Yep. Oh, it's 37. Jeez. 23rd of August, he was approved. Pro crypto stance. Yes. Yep. Okay. Cool. Nice. Yeah. There are 4 SEC appointees are Trump's. They're all anti-regulatory. And if they're not pro-crypto, they're anti-regulation to keep crypto out. And then this one guy is pro-crypto. So, yeah, that's actually, I mean, that's crazy good news. And then the news also came out that, and I'm talking about the news here because news is mostly bullshit. Pardon my French, but news is mostly just worthless. If you remember when we were looking at the Bitcoin. When we were looking at this drop, and by the way, this drop that we experienced is like one of the worst drops in the last 3 years or so over such a short time frame. That's indicative of a blow off move. But we had this nice big drop here, and the thing is if you remember talking about it yesterday, that I was questioning the reason of that Goldman. Like that's the only thing somebody could come up with was Goldman Sachs trading desk is walking away from crypto trading, and I'm like, I don't know why that's a big deal. I don't know. There's no reason why you would experience such a sell off. It's just that. I mean, look at the technicals here. There's a rising wedge, a rising triangle. We've been up for over 9 days. There is a pullback due. I mean, it just makes total sense. There's no if, ands, or buts about it that was a thing that was going to happen. And of course, the news was the reason. It's never the reason. And then we come to find out. Here's a good evidence why it's not the reason, is because news came out that was a lie. That the entire Goldman Sachs rumor about them not participating in the and not getting a trade desk set up for cryptos is a lie. So if that was the main catalyst for a 20% drop over a 2-day period, one would believe that there would be some type of relief rally, and there was not. So it's just lazy news from people who are not technical analysts, who are just noise-based trading, and bless their hearts, because I mean, that's how you, I guess, determine how things are going to move, is doing it that way. What the hell is that? Okay. All right, what am I looking for here? All right. Okay, so Bitcoin sitting at 47.50. We are currently up against this arc that is acting as resistance. It's the same arc that acted as resistance when we started to move out of it at the very top here. And we can see active rejection against it. So we are either going to, I mean, we really need to see us break above back into the arc and trade higher, or eventually as we slope down, we'll just get another drop. We'll see how that goes. But short interest in cryptos right now is, I believe it's reached an all-time high. Let me see here. Bitcoin. We're at or near. Yeah, we're like at those all-time high levels. That's where the shorts are sitting at. And then it went up the other day. So eventually shorts have to cover. And if they're peeling off profit right now, that's fine. But yeah, we're at a lot of the major traded pairs that have the ability to be short, margin shorted. They are sitting at those all-time highs in short interest, which is a good sign, because that means that there's a whole lot of gasoline sitting on the side waiting to be lit. What will we see this weekend? That is a good question. I have no idea as far as the volume participation we may or may not see. This is still a holiday week, and holiday weeks are very, very, they have a good reputation for having low volatility or low volume participation. We can see that in currency markets. I tell you, currency markets, there is a currency crisis happening, and it's spreading all over the place. It's a contagion. I mean, we see the Russian ruble, the Turkish lira, and then our neighbors in the south. In South America, Brazil, Argentina, they were traditionally areas that had some type of stability, but now they are politically and economically doing bad. What is that? This is kind of like a domino effect. And what happens? This kind of boils into this financial astrology forecasting, where we take the behaviors of past economic behavior, relate it to the longitudinal position of planets, and we find correlative events or the same things that happen frequently. So in the very near future here, we get this, we get Uranus goes into the angles of Taurus, or Aries rather. Wait, what am I thinking? Oh no, Saturn goes. Am I right? Or is it over here? Hold on, I cannot remember where. Hold 1 second. Where are you at? Where is... See, I need to memorize these coordinates. Oh well. I'll find it later. But there's a behavior that has happened all around the globe when Saturn enters Taurus. Taurus, the bull, that's the angles of shit, I don't remember. But historically, when that has happened, when that doesn't happen that often because Saturn is a very slow-moving planet, but Saturn, when it changes into signs, it causes a lot of activity, and it affects Saturn in financial astrology is an agent of change. It disrupts things. Jupiter is bullish, Saturn is bearish, and Taurus is associated with money, stability, and tradition in financial markets. And when Saturn gets into that, it disrupts it. It disrupts its traditional money supply. We've seen that happen with gold in the past, in the 30s and then the 70s, and then we saw it happen in the twice in the 1700s, twice in the 1800s, twice in the 1900s, and then we get our own version of that coming up now, where the money cycle goes traditionally from some type of commodity-based money to a fiat-based system, and then from fiat to commodity and back and forth. Cryptocurrencies, though, these are something different. This is an interruption in that cycle, and I mean, we are. It's going to be really interesting. So this entire currency collapse that is happening globally will more than likely continue. And if we want to be bullish, like if we're looking for some type of long-term bullish stability in a cryptocurrency, what we're looking for is the collapse of currency systems. I mean, people, Bitcoin, when the Turkish lira was collapsing over the last 2 months, when it first started having its major collapse, the European exchanges and the Turkish Bitcoin exchanges, they were experiencing massive volume, like 300% growth every day. It seemed they were getting, because people were not able to convert. Turkish banks were not allowing. This is funny because the president Turkey, Erdogan. Oh my God, I cannot pronounce his last name. Whatever. He was encouraging everybody to be patriotic about your money and don't let the dollar take it over. So it was forced patriotism because they refused to let the banks issue dollars or euros with the lira. So people were stuck with this paper money. But what they could do is they could exchange it for cryptocurrency that has value. So there's stability in cryptos, in Bitcoin, in a lot of cryptos, and we're seeing that play out in Turkey. We see that play out in Venezuela and many other places. So I don't know what else kind of a use case do you need other than when people are facing financial catastrophe on a national scale, they're fleeing to a very easy to attain source of value that can be used to buy and sell, and that is cryptocurrency, because normal people, just think about this for a second. In the event of some crazy emergency like that, where do you go to go buy yourself some gold? The pawn shop? You know, really, where do people go? If you lived in Turkey and you heard that your currency is collapsing against the dollar and the euro, and now the banks aren't letting you exchange it into euros, what do? Hope that it's going to get better? Hope that your government's going to make it all better? Government isn't going to make it all better. And the people in charge in that corrupt ass country they have all the gold. So, I mean, it sucks for the normal person, but you can go get yourself some cryptocurrency. That's worth it. There you can use that. So it's a really, really fantastic thing that we're in, and unfortunate that there are so many unstable nations and unstable currencies out there. But the flight to something secure that normal people and normal families can get is pretty amazing. So just to keep that in mind. But as far as the price action right now, we're pretty docile here. There is not a lot of activity going on here at all. In fact, I'm gonna pull up Coinigy. We can look at all the other. So if we look at Bitfinex, and I'm looking for where are we at? XBT, TTD. Why do I not see it? Or is it BTC? Man, some exchanges do BTC, some don't. BTC USD. There we go. So let's look at their order book. Yeah, even Bitfinex this is not a very active market right now. It's pretty slow. Not a whole lot of anything going on. It is Friday afternoon though. And Friday afternoon, folks, I mean, it is, if you trade any other markets, if you trade futures, you were done at 9 o'clock this morning. If you trade equities, you're done now. If you trade Forex, like I do, you're pretty much done now. And if you trade cryptocurrencies, what are you going to do? Fridays are great days to do your trade journal and look at the long-term charts so you don't get stuck in tunnel vision on the daily and 4 hour and 1 hour shorter charts. So I'm looking at Bitfinex here, and I'm looking at the Bitcoin dollar pair. The order book here, we're really just floating around the 6,400, 6,300. What do we got for the buy walls at 6,400? There's a sell wall at 6,414. Now we have a buy wall at 6,401. Yeah, just not a lot of, what is GDAX actually? Sometimes Coinbase has a little bit more. What do we see? There's a 6402 is 4.3 Bitcoin sitting there. 6408's got 2.3. Yeah, just really not a whole ton of activity going on because it is Friday afternoon. People pretty much are done trading for the day. So Fridays are just going to be a kind of a blasé day. But that is a perfect time for a lot of folks to come in and move the market if they want to. We're seeing all the altcoins, just a lot of flatness here. Basic attention token, Cardano, Walton Chain. Everything's sitting in a flat environment. Nano, XLM. We don't see a lot of things. I think the only thing that I have that is actually up is Populous. Where you at? Yeah, PPT. This is the only one that was up at all today. Interestingly, some coin suggestions we did earlier this week that, or last week, no, I don't remember. Like Bitcoin, for whatever reason, Bitcoin Gold, and Bitcoin Gold really did not move at all. I mean, it had a pump up, came back down, but Bitcoin Gold has outperformed the broader market, and DigixDIO has outperformed the broader market. Now, what's interesting about these coins is that I picked them before we had the big drop because they were sitting at their lows already. They were either at their all-time lows or they were at their yearly lows, but more importantly, in structure, they had not moved and created any kind of bullish movement. They were just continuing to trend down. And what I noticed when the market started to do its thing is that for whatever reason, volume stepped in heavily to really try and prevent lower prices from forming in like DigixDAO and DigixDAO and Bitcoin Gold. They caught a pretty nice bid there, and they've been holding pretty steady. And in some respects, Block Mason credit protocol was the same way, but yeah, I mean, we just kind of have a broader, flat, neutral trading area right now, and there is a case for lower prices. There is a case for testing lower. I don't see it in the structure. In the foldback pattern, but that doesn't mean that low can't be can't be there. Yeah, so that'll be cool. Looking forward to that. Where are we at here? The other, oh yeah, that's what I had in my notes. The other case that we could move lower is that this looks like a 3-day drop, and so we could get that 3-day drop. There was a top followed by a 3-day drop in value on this pattern here. So we could observe it could drop as low as just slightly above 5,900 or down to the 6,000 area, but yeah, there's a definite case for the drop here, because if we want to go all Elliott wavy on this, if we have this, if we're going to do like a 5-point drive lower, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth leg down, going down to maybe that 6,000 or 5,900, even 5,800. That is a very doable zone. If I see it come down to the 6,100 or 6,200, probably find support on this arc. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, don't see a lot of options right here. I want to get into stuff, and I did add some positions yesterday, but I've got other capital sitting on the side because I want to see if we go lower. I want to scoop it up. So if we do drop down to like the 5,800 to 6,200, I'm committing some capital into Bitcoin itself, actually, and then Ethereum. Ethereum may be a... Where are you at? Maybe another one that I might want to grab into, but Ethereum has been trending lower and lower as well. Ethereum Classic though is one that I'm shifting my Ethereum into ETC instead. Ethereum is kind of a bloody mess. It is a very, very, very a weak moving coin, and I mean, if we're gonna follow the structure in this square here, then if we want to see where we're going, but notice the volume participation down here, by the way. Let me oops. So if we look in the back here, scroll out, we can see we're well below lows from last year. And the next major support level is at 181. That is the That is the 1/8 major harmonic. That is the kind of ultimate last low that we would want to see. Anything below that is really a cascade. Panic doesn't set in until it tests slightly below that 181 zone. But otherwise, yeah, Ethereum is in a ugly move. And looking at it, you know, on the daily, there's really not a lot of support. Just banked right off this arc and came down. And if it's gonna come down, if it follows the rotation of the arcs, it wants to test down at 106. That'd be pretty nuts. That would be pretty nuts. That'd be really interesting. Hard to believe that it was at 1,400 bucks at one point. That was this year, I think, actually, wasn't it? Yeah, it was in January. Bitcoin peaked out in December. Ethereum peaked out. I remember they used to call this the flippening. I thought that was a funny title it's given for an event. They call it the flippening. It was where Ethereum would overtake Bitcoin's market cap. That's what everybody was saying, and that's a little absurd to think now, but that definitely was the opinion starting around this time last year. But Ethereum, definitely a weak player here, not wanting to touch it until I were to see it get up past. I mean, I've got buy orders still sitting above that 300 area, but I'm not willing to participate in it down here just because there is a very good chance of it checking out that 181 zone. And, you know, I mean, just look at the volume itself here. There is no buying volume, really. All of this is selling volume, shorting volume. There's very little supportive accumulation here. This is all just distributions and shorts. There is no bullish activity going on in this value area, as opposed to Bitcoin, where we actually do have some signs of bullish buying. Clear signs of selling, though, too, but we do have indications of accumulation happening in here, or some short covering. But for Bitcoin, I'd really like to see it drive above the 6,500 area. Obviously, that's kind of a key zone to get above. And then it needs to hold above. Cardano looking a little weaker too. I could see Cardano dropping a little bit more. But it's so if I scroll all the way out, these are the major harmonic zones for Cardano. So we've got, it starts off with its all-time low at 0.79. So 7.9 cents is the low for Cardano, at least for its dollar pair, and the high was all the way up at like 1.3 to 1.3 something, 1.34. What are we at here? 1.318. So it was $1.30, and it is definitely not $1.30 anymore. And it has just been in a major downtrend, and it is not very far away from its all-time lows. Yeah, we're not very far from it at all. 179, so we're we could hit that pretty easily. This zone could be a very strong bounce zone, or it could just be a cascading sell-off. Either way, there's not a lot of risk to deal with down here. And to be fair, I mean, Cardano is one of the only legitimate projects that's out there. The platform is very it's very fast. They have a very reputable team. It's attracted institutions on the OTC market. It attracted initial investors when the white paper first came out. So this this crypto reminds me a lot of the microcap biotech sector, or microcap anything in the medical field, where there is a company that has something that is going to be of great value later, but it doesn't have anything that is of value currently. So it's a purely investment speculation, and the way that Cardano moves is very much how I would compare it to how some of those micro cap biotechs move, where there is a substantial portion of those floating shares. Well, the all the shares that are available, like we can tell, that's a matter of public record as far as what percentage of shares of a firm on the general stock market. How many shares are available and how many are owned. So how many shares are open? The floating shares are the ones that anybody can pick up, and then what percent of all the shares are owned by either insiders or institutions. And coins or companies that have a lot of institutional or insider ownership, they are very easy to muscle around into short, where they can keep that price down significantly. They can short against each other. They can. It's kind of shady, where they just kind of corner that market. And then we get into cryptos, where it's a little bit easier to do that stuff because you don't have to disclose it. But Cardano reminds me a lot of that kind of activity, where there's probably a large and a substantial amount of ownership by institutions and funds and insiders, where they have the ability to move this and keep it down instead of being able to drive it up. I mean, it's down for now, and if the heavy hand of ownership wishes the value to remain low, then that is exactly what is going to happen. But ultimately, we get a nice bump up here. The high probability of a bounce around this zone at 079, and then we get a higher probability of that move higher as we get past get towards the 11-cent zone. And I mean, we can just tell here, looking at Cardano, how close it is to this breaking this low. We've got this trending angle here, and it's not very far away from breaking it. The volume is very low. It's not going to take much to drop this down lower. And in fact, I think on the Bitcoin pair, we're getting close to the low of the close of its first day. So the close of the first day of trading, at least on Binance, was November. You know what? I want to see what it was. I don't know what exchange. Did it go on Bittrex before Binance, I think? Let's see here. Cryptocurrency. Bittrex. Daily. What day did you go on? October 1st, 2017, but I thought it was out in September. What do we got here? Bittrex, BitMEX, Binance, BitThumb. It didn't show up on there till 2018. Bittrex has got to be where it showed up first. Okay, so the close of the first trading day for Bittrex was 2000. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Close is 572 satoshis. Yeah, so we're not very far away from that. We're halfway away from there. And there's a big accumulation zone down there. So yeah, we just see Cardano rated against Bitcoin. It's just continuing to print lower lows and continuing to drive lower. Really not seeing any type of relief pattern in sight, except the present value area, this is the second highest volume node. And looking at this, and this is the longest price history we have for Cardano. This is a high volume node we're sitting at, so it has historically had a lot more volume traded at this level than anywhere above it or below it until we get down to the, the 500 satoshis. I really hate that name for the it's dumb. Then we've got another one here is I want to look at basic attention token. That Bitcoin pair, look at it on the daily. Of course, that Binance data is all sorts of messed up. We see the largest amount of volume, this high volume node back here at the 2000 area is where we see a lot of that volume participation. But if we scroll, I want to scroll out from the most recent swing low. Now that's interesting to me. This is the volume from the swing low. Yeah, so this is in December. Look at all the volume traded at this price level. That's a lot. And then really it hasn't even touched it. Everything above that has really just been fills. It's just not, there's really no clear indication of high volume or low volume nodes here. It's just a blob. But this is an interesting thing to spot from the swing low and then to here. For whatever reason, a shite ton of volume traded at this price level. That's interesting. And let's see, Nano. Let's see this beast of a manipulation. Binance, and it's, yeah, the most volume it's ever traded. Oh, I didn't even, oh yeah, I did know that, never mind. Most volume it's ever traded has just been recently. The August trade, this is where we've seen most of the volume trade. So this is actually a very, 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 very bullish sign here. Yeah, this is interesting to me. I don't know why I didn't notice this before, but this volume profile and where we're trading, this is where the most volume participation has happened. And that is kind of neat, actually. That is a accumulation if I've ever seen it. Holy cow. I think I have to pick some up. Yep. I think I better pick some up. Definitely. That's a big deal. This is a big deal. Walton chain. From its all-time... Well, actually, let's negate that. When was this? Yeah, let's negate that initial pump stuff. Where are we at? Okay, yeah. So we are just trading slightly below the volume point of control. High volume node here. That started in June. That it makes total sense. The rest of it was low volume pumps. Here's our accumulation zone. If we're trading below it before the fall, that's actually a great entry zone. XLM, let's see the XLM BTC pair though. What do we got for you? You're way above it, so let's separate this into breakouts. Okay, well, there's a distribution up there. Could see a bounce. Actually, wow, this is interesting. XLM's actually got kind of a nice little setup there. To take a look at that one there. Interesting. ZRX OX. It's a fairly new one. It's all accumulation has been up here, so we're below that. Would expect to see a little bit of a drive higher. I want to see what the fibs are here, though. Okay. Yeah. I'd probably wait till it see what it did down here. But we're actually not seeing a lot. We should have fallen through this pretty fast, but we haven't. XRP, you're the devil. Shocked that it's traded up there. That's where that was. There was yesterday there was quite a response on a lot of these Bitcoin pairs. Had a lot of volume traded that entire day. Look at Ripple's volume there, beat the prior day. Volume here is huge. Cardano's was not. Neither was Stellar's. What was Steam's? Not a lot of support there. Scicoin, Qtum had some nice volume. Actually, we got a bullish pivot set up here on the daily. Populous, it's interesting. OMG, nah. Litecoin, or not Litecoin, Lisk. Actually, let's look at Litecoin quick. Litecoin, shockingly, is holding up very nice. It's staying above that 1/8 major harmonic, the 56 value area. You know, it got up to 60. Did we get up to 69 and then blop right back down, trading inside this range here? Yeah, not seeing a lot of activity for Litecoin here. Just another, just a return to prior value. That's all we've got. Zoom out. What is our major accumulation zone? Is where we're pretty much sitting right here. That's right. Oh, that is like the volume point of control is right on that 1/8 harmonic. Isn't that interesting? That's the same value. No wonder that's holding a strong support. And even below it, it's got a metric crap ton of a support. Yeah, this is a monster support zone. There's not a lot of risk in Litecoin either, as far as where it's currently trading. Downside risk is pretty limited. Historically, on the scroll all the way out, we just don't see a lot of risk to the downside from where we're sitting. From the all-time high zone, accumulation zone's actually up there, but I mean, yeah, Litecoin's sitting in a very strong buying area. And ETC, mostly all down there. That's a ways down. We have to go down $10 to get to that support zone. And then ETH, just a sadness, full of sadness. Very ugly looking chart. Not a lot of support. It's like this thing has been abandoned. Ethereum has been smacked around really hard. It's I love to short Ethereum on Kraken. When I short cryptos, I use Kraken, and I always short Ethereum. That's the only thing I like to short, because I have a choice between Ethereum or Litecoin, or Ethereum or Bitcoin to short with 5x leverage, and I choose to do that on Ethereum just because it moves more. So, yeah. I mean, otherwise, folks, going to end it a little early because, we could just keep poking around at these charts and looking at this consolidation here. I mean, the weekend, I'd be surprised if we saw any monstrous movement to the top side. But again, I want to bring us back to the square 52 chart with the mirrored foldback pattern that we are right inside the zone where we experience some period of consolidation over a number of days prior to the drive higher. One second. All right, and yeah. So anyways, have a great weekend, folks. The weekend is a great time to peel away from. You give yourself at least a Saturday, I mean, that's the only day that futures and Forex isn't open. So at least give yourself Saturday, give yourself a little break. Try to separate yourself from the markets for a little while. Give attention to your friends and family. Because it's really easy to get sucked into this and then just soak it all up for a while. And we don't want to do that a lot, because we can just get into just a lot of too addicting sometimes. So anyways, I had a great week with you all, and I will see you all next week on Monday. It's going to be the first full trading week because there's no holiday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.